Good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are, and welcome to the TalkSports, our weekly program where we speak with the movers and shakers of sports, the sportsmen, sportswomen, administrators, coaches, whoever involved in sports, directly or indirectly. We discuss with you what's happening in sports. Well, on this evening's program, we'll be looking at a club a sports club in the parish of St. Andrew in Grenada. And during the last year when we had our program, we will stress a lot about clubs and the revival of clubs and club structure and all these sort of things. And it's good to know that there are some young folks, and I say young, and you'll understand why, who are ensuring that the club structure remains alive. And we're talking about proper club structure and club organization and club functioning, etc., etc. And I'm speaking about the Ballers Sports Club. That's the name, Ballers Sports Club of Grenada, St. Andrew Base Ballers Sports Club. And it's a unique name, Ballers. So obviously, dealing with whether it's probably volleyball or football or netball, probably basketball. So we will chat with the president of the Baller Sports Club and hear all about the club, its functions, its achievements, plans, and how probably folks who are interested in the Baller Sports Club and even interested in assisting the Baller Sports Club can do that. So let me take the opportunity to introduce Mr. Javin Noel, who is the president of the Baller Sports Club, and who will discuss with us and share with us as much information as possible as it relates to the Baller Sports Club. Let me say good evening to uh, Javin
Hi,
Noel.
Mr.
Yeah,
Master.
Javin. Right. Good evening to you and welcome to the program. And it's nice having you. And, as I indicated, we'll be discussing everything about the Ballers Sports Club. First of all, Javin, um, you're your first time on the program and probably an introduction in terms of who is Javin. And then we'll go into the Ballers Sports Club and, tell us all about the Ballers Sports Club. So for those who wonder, who is Javin Noel?
Hi, so good night to you and all the listeners signed into this program. First off, I want to say thank you for allowing me to be on the program today. Now, before I jump into the details, I just want to say a little about myself, then a little about my club. My name is Javin Noel from Cookie Road, St. Andrew. I have been involved in sports for roughly 15 years. I was introduced to the sport at the age of 8. Being introduced to the sporting life both by my mother and my father, Miss Patricia Noel and Mr. Junior Alexis, it was quite easy for me to adapt to the many sports around me, including table tennis, cricket, track and field, netball, and volleyball, as both of my parents are and still involved in the sporting disciplines. However, it was volleyball that became the sport I enjoyed the most. I
Javin,
continued.
just so you said both mom and dad, right? Involved in
That's
sports, right?
correct. That's
Right.
correct.
I want to make sure I heard that correctly, which
That's
means
correct.
that you you took something from them at least because
Of course.
you're involved and in that decision. Continue. Let's hear more about you. Yeah.
Yes, so it was volleyball that I grew a passion for, and that was the sport I enjoyed the most. So I continued pursuing this sport where I made my debut for the national team at just the age of 14. Team Grenada took part in the Eastern Caribbean Volleyball Association under 19 tournament. My twin brother, Jamie Noel, and some of my schoolmates from the Greenwich Secondary School was selected on that national team where we placed second. Now, that was the first team that would take part in an Eastern Caribbean Volleyball Association competition and place second representing Grenada. Determined to improve on my personal ability and skills, I continued training hard with the coaching of Mr. Adam Lafayette, who ensured that I was taught the correct concepts and principles. After that, I was able to make every national team from the under 19 category right up to the national senior men's category. As is evident, I am no stranger to the sport. With that being said, I would like to move on into introducing my club. Now, the Baller Sports Club, then and now, has had great transformation. Initially, the club was established in 2016. Upon returning from our national duties, a group of players decided to form a team to take part in the competitions which was held by the Grenada Volleyball Association. After that said competition, the volleyball fever was ripe. It grew very ripe. We started having what you call a Saturday sweat at the St. Joseph Convent, Court St. Andrews, amongst ourselves. This continued along for many, many Saturdays, while the volleyball fever grew more and more. Although there were competitions organized by the Grenada Volleyball Association, our thirst could not be satisfied. It was then a group of seniors basically took up the mantle and said, hey, you know what? Let's step up. Let's form an executive committee to handle the running of the club. The club became more organized, where a sweat turned into a training. Still not being able to satisfy the volleyball fever, we started thinking about hosting our own annual competition, which we call a four-a-side in 2017. That event turned out to be a great success. We were even surprised at ourselves that we weren't expecting that great turnout. The way how things just flow and everything. That was really really surprising. That even gave us the motivation to keep going. After that tournament, then it was back to training. After a time, it grew boring playing the same teams over and over. So we said, hey, look, we need to expand this club. We need to get persons, not just persons, but younger persons involved in playing the game of volleyball. The recruiting process started with overwhelming support from Miss Noel at the Grenville Secondary School, who I mentioned earlier is my mom, Mr. Larry Lakati at the St. Joseph Convent, Grenville, Mr. Arnold Matthew at the St. Andrews Anglican Secondary School. And after that, young people started showing up for training. So in seeing that, we said, hey, if we have these young people showing up for training, we have to be structured. We have to have coaches to teach them. We have to make sure that we show a group of discipline, we show a group of commitment. And I could tell you that from since we started to date, we have 40 plus members of our club. We are the Baller Sports Club.
Um, Quite a bit, and I'm glad to hear that. And it appears that, as you indicated now, that at one point in time, things were getting a bit boring, as you said, and with membership growing, there was the need to basically not just expand, but to ensure that that boredom doesn't spread and people are
Correct.
engaged, etc., etc. So, give me an idea of the structure of the club. You're the president, so who are the other persons who are involved in the leadership position of the club?
All right. So, as you just stated that I am the president.
Mhm.
After the president, we have what we call a coach. Well, I play acting coach as it is right now.
But acting
After my
coach of which sport? Volleyball?
volleyball, that's volleyball, correct?
Right. Mhm.
Yes. Now we have Jamie Noel as the treasurer of the club. Our acting general secretary, we have Miss Bina Bernard. Our female coach, and that's for volleyball, Miss Jamela Beely. Our
Mhm.
manager, Mr. Denroy Ned. And that fills up the executive of our club presently.
Okay. And talk a bit about the sporting events now, the sporting disciplines, I should say, rather, because as you indicated, started with volleyball. How many sporting disciplines you currently have? And,
And I'm so glad you asked that
mhm,
question. And as I spoke about boredom as it relates to volleyball, one day we sat on the court, we were having our little team meeting, and we said, why we limiting ourselves to just volleyball, because before the Ballers Sports Club came into play, it used to be just ballers, and that used to focus mainly on
mhm,
volleyball. And as I
right.
said, after we came from a national tournament, we said, let's just form a team and play. But we said no, let's try other sports. We have more than capable persons, especially in the female category. Our female plays everything. So we said, let's try the netball.
Mhm,
We tried the netball. We took part in many netball competitions. In that same 2017, we actually took part in a basketball competition, and that was for the females. And up to this day, we are still the reigning champions. And that came as no surprise to us because we knew our capability. We know that we are very talented persons on board, and that is what we strive to achieve as a club.
and well, being based in St. Andrew, which is a big parish for those who have heard of the big parish, and well known for producing, outstanding sportsmen and sportswomen
That's
over
right.
the
That's
years.
right.
How challenging is it, or probably easy for you in terms of recruiting, in terms of your membership, getting the young people off of the streets, off of their phones, off the TV, and getting them on the court to train and to prepare for competition.
Mr. Bascom, as it comes to recruiting,
Mhm.
we have absolutely no problem recruiting. We have Miss Noel from the Grenville Secondary School, who plays a very, very important role in that recruiting process. And for those persons who know Miss Noel, she would just walk up to you and say, "Hey, make sure you come up on the court Saturday." And that's just to show you that she has that vibe and that energy to encourage young players to come on the court. Then we have Mr. Larry Lakati from the St. Joseph Convent Grenville. There was a point in time where we used to go up on the St. Joseph Convent court during the week, and the children saw it, they loved it, they say, I want to try this sport. So we had a representative in that school, Mr. Larry Lakati, who used to teach at that school at the point in time. So he joined in everything so smoothly. And then we had my good friend, Mr. Arnel Matthew from the St. Andrew Secondary School. And I say, you know, let them children come up on the court, let them learn volleyball, because I've seen a lot of persons saying, volleyball too hard, or netball too hard, basketball is too hard. And just one Saturday, they attend the training and they can't stop. I'm telling you, they can't stop. Saturdays alone is not even enough for them. So, in terms of recruiting, I would say we are very good at recruiting so far.
Mhm. Well, it's good to hear that, and that young people are being attracted to a sport, and more or less community based, I should say, to an extent, because while you have been participating in some of the competitions, you basically at home, I should say. Let's talk a bit about training facilities available, these sort of things. You talk about volleyball, you talk about netball, you talk about basketball. Um, you know, how and when do you train? How do you get to train? What can you tell us about the facilities available to do the training?
Right. So, our facilities so far, mainly for volleyball, is at the St. Joseph Convent, Grenville. For netball, we have it at
Mhm,
the Victoria Park, Grenville. That's
mhm,
a hard court, which was just resurfaced. For basketball, we have it at the Grenville Hard Court that's past the St. Andrews Methodist School. And that's our three main facilities that we use so far.
Mhm. And by the way, and are there plans with your growing membership? Are there plans by the club to continue expanding? I know the whole concept of a club is to ensure that the young people, and you probably may be able to expand on it, are accommodated in whatever sporting discipline they want to through your club. So that's why you started with volleyball, you move into netball, basketball, and I think somewhere or the other you started talking about football and other sporting disciplines to some extent.
Yes, so the main goal of the Ballard Sports Club, I
Mhm.
mean, the name speaks for itself. We want to try to reach as much young persons as possible through sports. And to reach as much persons as possible, we have to keep on exploring. So that means in terms of expansion, we would try each and every sport if we have to, just to reach the young persons of the St. Andrew area. Consequently, the different parishes. But for now, we are focusing on more the St. Andrew area, and that is our goal. We want to reach as much young persons as possible, because we believe in inspiring these young persons. As you said before, we kind of go into a culture, of the cell phones and being on the street and everything. So we want to change that culture. We want to ensure that, hey, when somebody asks you what you're doing later, it's not just to go out online or to just be on Facebook or Instagram. Hey, I have training. You should come try. This is a very interesting group. I enjoy my time with them. Come on, and you'll learn some new things, and it's not just sports we're speaking about. As I tell the kids, if you come on the court on Saturday and you say you just learn volleyball, you just learn netball, you just learn basketball, then you are cutting yourself short. You're not just coming on the court just to learn sports. You are coming on the court to be disciplined. You are coming on the court to be inspired. You are coming on the court to be punctual. And all these soft skills we try to develop in young persons. We even give them rules to get into that public speaking and everything. And that is really what we try to achieve at the Bala Sports Club.
Okay. Well, one of the things I like about this program is that even though I have sometimes questions to ask, and I always say I don't like so much of being an interview, I like it to be a discussion. But I have some very loyal, viewers who, wherever they are, whether it's in Trinidad, Grenada, wherever, New York, Toronto, they always tend to be on the ball. And one such is Patricia Walcott. Patricia, good afternoon where I am. Good evening to you, wherever you are, hopefully. And her question to you, Javin, is how about sponsorships? And that's one of the questions I wanted to ask you too regarding that. But Patricia is on the ball, and that's Patricia. She thinks, you know, like me, I should say. And where do you get support for uniforms, etc.? So talk about the sponsorship because you're also thinking about expanding, exploring other sporting events. So, what's about sponsorships? What's about having uniforms for your team members, etc., etc.? How you intend to pursue such?
So, sponsorship wise, has been a struggle since the club has initiated. I can say, however, that we were donated some uniforms. We went to various persons asking for sponsorship, and one of our members who is Bina Bernard, her sister actually, donated some uniforms to the club. So that is the uniforms we use as to this day. As I said, sponsorship has been a challenge, especially, you know, persons may not know about the club. If you don't come around, you might not know about the club. So that is why we try marketing, we try inviting persons on the court to actually see what we are doing, and to let them know that, hey, we're not just about speaking, we're about doing, and that is what we plan. We want to progress as we go on. We want to make things happen, and that can only be possible through interested persons and through sponsors. So as I said, sponsors has been quite of a struggle, but as we go forward, we are looking to get more persons on board.
Mhm. Well, it's good to know and good to hear that pursuing that, and I'm certain if there are people who are listening, watching, and interested in supporting, may probably want to get in contact and assist you because I'm certain they will be moved by your comments regarding the whole idea of empowering young people. That's the idea of the club and showing that there are, we know the power of sports, Um, for those of us who have been involved in sports, whether directly or indirectly over the years, we know what sports have done to change the lives of many, you know. And if the Border Sports Club aim is to do such in, I should say, a sportly blessed parish of St. Andrew, I'm certain there are those who are listening and watching and may be willing to assist. Um, Let me get some comments here. Oh, Dr. Betty Ann Bernard John, big up to her. Oh, big up to her, sorry. She offered to sponsor the uniform because she wanted to invest in youth. Um, then, oh, our good friend, I you know the name Raw Lewis, right?
That's right.
Okay, right. And you know Raw is synonymous to cricket, and he is
Right.
the current manager of the West Indies team. He said, "This is excellent for the future of our young people. What are your plans to maintain the facilities?"
All right. So good night to you, Mr. Lewis. I'm not sure if he remembers me, but actually, when we traveled to Antigua to take part in a tournament, we actually met up with Mr. Lewis. And we had a picture that we took together. Actually, he was supposed to film it, but I'm guessing somewhere in that transition he forgot.
Uh,
Yeah.
okay, well,
But
I'm certain he remembers you.
I'm certain, when he hears the name of Mr. Walcott, I'm sure he will remember. You know.
Okay, then. Yeah.
So as I mentioned, the three facilities we use are the Convent Hard Court, the St. Joseph Convent Grenville Hard Court, the Victoria Park Hard Court, and the Grenville Hard Court. Now we are looking at the St. Joseph Convent Grenville Hard Court as our base. We see it as, it's an excellent space. The court can take different types of sports. You have a netball court there, a basketball court there, a volleyball, and a tennis court there. Actually, as he asked the question, we are in discussion with persons to actually provide lighting to that facility there. Our team is doing a proposal to get the necessary estimates and submit it to the necessary parties to get lights to that code. Now, once we are successful in obtaining those lights, normally our club, we go to the court on a Saturday, we clean up and everything, because the court basically belongs to the Catholic Church. And that same Catholic Church, my father is the president, of that council there. So we work hand in hand to ensure that the court is well maintained, it is cleaned, and everything like that. So in terms of maintenance, we try our best that our facility is well kept, is well organized. At a point in time, we even we put up, erected a two little sheds just to help with our spectators and everything. So in terms of maintenance, we try our best to ensure that our facilities are maintained. I hope I answered the question.
Okay then. Thank you, and thank you, Roll. Good evening to you, Michael and Javin. Great initiative, Patricia is saying, and she's asking, how about fundraisers, Javin?
All right, so our main fundraiser for the year, you know, as we have a calendar of event actually, and I guess in as much as the program goes along. So our main fundraiser for the year is our annual four-side tournament, and that is a volleyball tournament where we have clubs. We do a barbecue luncheon, so we distribute tickets to different team members, and they will, sell those tickets, and then we have persons coming and collect the barbecues and everything. Our next fundraiser for the year, you know, we have our netball tournament also. So while the netball games are going on, we have eats and drinks selling. The closing ceremonies, we have eats and drinks selling, and that's basically our main fundraisers for the year.
Mhm. But you understand the importance of not just relying on sponsorships, but as that's
Yes,
why
and
Patricia probably asked about the fundraiser. So I assume that is why it was necessary for you all to have fundraising activities within the calendar of events as well. Okay.
yes, yes,
Okay. So I know you told me before the program, when I said before the program, before you get in, you were invited to be on the program that you had a meeting. The club I'm speaking about had a meeting. Um, you wish to share what information is available for public knowledge regarding the meeting?
and so our team met basically to plan our calendar of events for the year,
Okay.
to
Hmm.
ensure that, look, what are our plans, what do we plan to achieve. We look back, and last year, what did we accomplish as a club? Where do we want to be? And I said to them to start off the meeting, watching how we were and how we have transitioned, that I am so proud of my team so far. And we basically met, we sat down and we made our calendar of events for the year. You would see the calendar of events, so certain items are not on it, sorry. And just to mention one, we have our award ceremonies, just to award the youths, the person that's been contributing to our clubs and our sponsors as they come along, just to show appreciation and say, hey, it's not just about you coming, you giving, and not feeling appreciated. We want to show you that we appreciate you. We want to let you know that you have our support and you are special to us and you contribute a lot to the Baller Sports Club.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, that is interesting to hear from you, and I want to thank you. Not that the program has ended, but I want to ensure, continue thanking you for that, whole initiative. And, it's something I was hoping to hear about when we were making the appeals for clubs, over the past few months in 2021, and then hearing about your club and now hearing further, because a lot of what you're telling me now, or you saying now, rather, I should say, it's news to me. I mean, we had a conversation, to prepare for the program, etc. But a lot of what you're sharing now, I'm hearing it for the first time, like our viewers, and I'm excited, what I'm hearing, and I'm saying that your club, Baller Sports Club, could be a trend trend center for clubs in Grenada going forward. Because that is what we want to hear about. That is what we want to see, and and it's all about, as I understand, young people. Getting young people involved, getting young people being part of the process, You know, probably you might be able to tell me at some point in time, what I'm looking at, for example. I'm assuming that is what was a basketball session, volleyball session, rather.
Yes, that was after a volleyball session. Yeah, you can see me in the green t-shirt. We try to have little motivational talks every now and then to let them know that this is not just about volleyball. I see
Mhm,
I see you guys not just as my teammates, but I
mhm,
want us to turn into a family. At some point, I want us
mhm,
to have that great bond.
mhm,
I tell them if something happens to you, I feel affected. I am
mhm,
affected because I can't rest knowing
mhm.
that you are basically part of me, and you are not okay. So I am not okay.
Okay.
As we're speaking about expanding also.
Well, I'm seeing mom in the photo there, but if you can tell us, and I know mom is she's directly involved in both volleyball and netball.
Yes,
So was that a volleyball team, a successful volleyball team?
yes, that was the volleyball team. That was the first place winners of our youth tournament last year.
Hmm.
Yes,
Right. Well, it's good to know that that the what you're doing and continuing to do, it's reaping success, and hoping that folks who are listening can support wherever possible, and and continue to support Border Sports Club. So for those who are interested in one, um, probably joining, being a member of the club. Two, being some probably to provide some sort of support. They may be able to provide, you know, or even counseling, for example, because remember the support for clubs don't necessarily have to be financial support,
that's
because I'm certain you're looking to build the capacity of your club. So not
and
just
as I said,
finance, but
inspire. We want to inspire.
right.
That's
So
that.
it can, whether it's folks who want to volunteer to be counselors, to to provide educational classes for those who your young ones who probably may be interested in scholarships and the SAT and all these sort of things. How can they be a part of the process? Who can they contact? How can they contact? You know, guide us.
All right. So, if you are a member of the public and you want to be a part of the club, you want to you know really make an impact on the club. As and I failed to mention that in our discussion at the beginning of the year, we also mentioned having our own elections. So we don't want it to just be, hey, Javin, you're the president, and nobody will go against Javin, so you will remain the president. No, as I said, if we have someone more serious than me, we want to give persons a chance, to have that vote to say, hey, you know, we think this person will make a good president. So, and as they ask the question, we are actually looking for members to hold an executive position, in terms of the day-to-day running of the
Running.
club. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that. But let me tell you something, and I want you to listen to what I'm telling you. And I would tell anyone in the future, be mindful of, and I'm glad that what you're talking about from early in terms of getting people to be involved. But I want you, I want your mother, I want your father, your other siblings who are involved, and the other club members to be mindful of those who are joining
Correct.
and who are interested in holding positions,
That's right.
that they buy into, and they must buy into the initiative and not come to change and to
That's
spoil, as we'll say, because that's what happens sometimes. You have the initiative, you're going good, they probably come in meaning well, and then all of a sudden, things go haywire. So be mindful of that. Ensure that these people are well vetted, and they, as I indicated, they must buy into what you are hoping to achieve, what the club is hoping
Yes,
to achieve. So that 5 years, 10 years from now, we should be hearing about Ballers Sports Club,
that's right.
right? We should continue hearing about Ballers Sports Club
That's right.
and what Ballers Sports Club has achieved over the years,
Correct.
So please be mindful. Yes, I will encourage you to welcome members and to welcome people who want to assist, who want to be part of the club, who you believe may add something to it. But at the same time, they must buy into what the club is hoping to achieve. Be mindful of that. You know, um, you know, and I'm telling you that out of past experiences. I'm not afraid to say that. Okay, I'm not afraid to say when it comes to that, there are people who come in to destroy. Okay, um, let me get some comments. Patricia said, "I would like to ask how does these kids handle both school and sports?" Well, you have a lot of young people involved, and I'm certainly it's challenging, Javin, to have the people remain focused. As we say, so many distractions. You have school, yes, which is one, but you have the distraction of social media and all these sort of things. And I mean, I'm so happy to see that photo with so many of the kids, um, out there, um, having fun, enjoying themselves, being part of the process. Yes, I'm not saying they don't have their social media life and etc. But at least you're getting them off the couch, and you're getting them engaged. So how challenging is it for you to have these kids balancing between school and sports?
We preach at our club. As I mentioned earlier, I was born into sports. And being born into sports doesn't just mean focusing on sports alone. I was able to go to school, maintain good grades, and still, excel in sports. So I always encourage, the members of our club, hey, it's not just the sports, and just the sports won't get you anywhere. Playing out, just the sports won't get you. You have to have the basic understanding. You have to have the basic, as persons say, common sense, and you have to have discipline. We made a rule at the club that if you are not maintaining good grades at school, and that's why we have parents, we have a parent chat, we have teachers at different schools maintaining, keeping eyes on our club members. You made a rule that, hey, if you're not maintaining those good grades, then you simply can't, you can't keep coming. You have to ensure that the school and the sports goes hand in hand. And just to speak about the academics, we, as I said, we have many talented persons, but we also have some scholars on board. Actually, I could just name a few. We have Nazim Buck, who received the LA La Grenada Award. He made the merit list for CXC, and he placed 10th in the Caribbean in building technology. We have Christian Seeley also graduating top of his class, and we have just so much more. And you could actually see it in them. You could see their progress. You could see as they continue to come, they are more outspoken, they understand better. And that's how much we focus on balancing the school and the sports.
Hmm. Um,
That's
who's this?
that's Nazim. That's Nazim right there. That's Nazim Chateau. That's one of our
Okay.
top scholars.
Just
One of
just just repeat his name because I think for some reason you said Nazim Bok, right? Said
oh
Nazim Chateau.
oh oh my apologies, my apologies. Yes,
Yeah.
that's Nazim Chateau.
Yeah.
A
All
student
right.
from the Grenville Secondary School. an
Okay.
active member of our club.
What on what
That's,
sport in particular?
well, he plays volleyball
Mm,
mainly presently.
okay. And
Also, Christian City. That yes, that is Christian City.
Kristen Seeley. Okay.
Graduated second in his class,
Mm,
electrical engineering technology at the TM Community College.
mm.
As we can see with honors. Yeah,
With, oh, with
volleyball
honors.
also.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yes, there we have Nazim again.
That's
With
Nazim again.
that's the Grenada award he
Uh,
received. Yeah.
okay. Well, so much to show and to to continue to show, I should say. And I assume that's netball now, right?
Yes,
The
yes,
netball
that's
as
correct.
part of the club, right?
Yes, yes. Everyone you see playing netball is part of the club. And as I said,
Mm,
especially when it relates to the females, the male you would see basically just is either you're playing volleyball or you're playing football. But you see the ladies, man, I'll tell you, you will see one day they have to play the volleyball. Miss Noel will say, don't forget I'll have game tomorrow. The next day they have netball. The day after that they have basketball. Our females are, just so well rounded.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's good to hear that, and I assume that's volleyball as well because I've seen
Yes. That,
Nanan Braffett, who is revered as a coach in volleyball
yes.
and as a former national cricketer himself, being there as well. So I assume that when you want to get you know expand into cricket as well, you have people who are involved. And talking about the achievements of the club, um, that was presentation day or something, so an
So
award day.
yes, what are you viewing now? That was the trophies for our netball competition last year. You know, Rewarding the MVPs for each team.
Mhm,
Yes. Now, speaking about achievements of the club, Bala Sports Club can boast of many achievements. Just to mention a few,
mhm,
we strive. One thing about our club, we strive to have the most participants on a national team.
mhm,
We say if we have 6 persons selected, 4 out of that 6 has to come from Bala Sports Club. So that is a little motivation we tell our members just to let them keep the mission alive of the club. You
mhm.
know, Now I can mention a few players that are constantly on the national team. Jamela Beatty, Cassie Paul, Shakira Fortune, Shakira Kalimo, Rachel John, Renisha Stafford, and Sabrina Sylvester. All they are representing nationally while attached to the Baller Sports Club.
Oh,
And
what you say? Shakira Hollymo is a member of the club.
that's correct. That's correct.
Shakira, the all-round. Well, I shouldn't say all. Well, talented as a volleyballer, a netballer, a footballer. I mean, just name it. That's the Shakira you're talking about.
Yes, yes,
Oh
correct.
well, that's
Yeah,
good to hear.
actually, you know, well, what I just mentioned is when she was attached, to the borders, she is still attached, but we are seeing movements of her trying to
Mhm,
become independent, starting her own club,
mhm.
but as it stands, she is still attached, but
Well, yeah.
trying to become independent, if you
Okay,
get what I'm
well, that's good to
saying.
hear. And Javin, there's a reminder that a few guys play netball too. Why do
That's
you?
thank thank you, Miss Bernard, for reminding me. That's correct. We have a
Mm,
few guys playing on the netball team, and I tell you, we have a few guys from up my area. They would say, Javin, when you come in and take this sweat, I say, man, don't worry, I come in. But I'm telling you, for those persons who haven't witnessed that male netball games,
mhm.
come to Victoria Park when you have our netball competition, and you'll see. I'm telling you, you'll see excitement, man. Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. And then I think mommy wants to know about the motto of the club.
Right. So our club motto is striving for excellence through sports and academics. And we always say teamwork builds the dream work, and that is what we plan to do. You know, one person cannot make it for themselves. We plan to move on as a team, and
Mhm.
striving for excellence, as I said, through sports and academics.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
good to hear.
speaking of motto, we also have a mission, sorry,
Well,
to build leaders through sports and to
mhm,
become a recognized club in the Caribbean and to take part in Caribbean organized tournaments as a club, to share awareness to the public and to revamp the sporting disciplines in St. Andrews and Grenada.
mhm. And you think you are on course to achieving that, right? Or you have been achieving such?
Believe me, believe me,
Mhm,
believe me, we are hitting the nail on the head. The year just started. We have a team leaders chat. And when we say, we are getting this done this year, one person will say, let's focus on this week. And I will tell them, this was done today. This will be done tomorrow. They will say, and Mr. Praise, you're working, but it's not me, it's us as a team. We said what we wanted to achieve at the
mhm,
beginning of the year, and we are going straight to that. We are going straight to that. Full speed
mhm.
ahead.
Since the club started, and I say since, and I know you said about probably 5, 6 years ago, but in recent times, what are some of the major challenges you have had to deal with in terms of running, running the club?
Some of the, you will hear the most popular ones, as of the last 2 years, COVID-19.
Hmm.
But also, we are, as I said earlier on, we are having some difficulties where financials are concerned. We haven't had, that many sponsors on board. So it's basically, money out of pocket to do certain things in the club,
Hmm.
where sponsors is involved. One of our limitations also are, we we as a club, we inject so much into, our youth. But let's say we want to travel to our other parishes. There's not, that great input you know as we would put into our club. So in terms of having, persons from other parishes joining the mission, we have
Hmm.
that also as a limitation.
Yeah. All right. So let me tell you, and I understand what you're saying. You're trying to be diplomatic. The problem is that because of limited clubs, it's becoming very challenging for you to engage others in other parishes. Simple.
Yeah, I also
So,
want to speak about another limitation is lack of equipment.
oh,
Basically we get
mhm,
equipments from the Grenada Volleyball Association from time to time, but as you see in the pictures, there are so many persons on the court. Those equipments are not lasting very long. So equipments continue to be a challenge, especially the volleyballs. You
mhm.
know that
Well,
that yeah.
yeah, well,
Go
equipment will always be a problem. You know, the cost, maintenance. When it comes to that, it will always be a problem, and it's one of the reasons why I asked you about the challenges because I know financially, and especially with the COVID being the number one for now, and then that would have probably affected already. You would have probably been affected financially, and COVID would have added to that,
ahead.
and therefore that will have a trickle-on effect on so many other things. But Andrea Thomas is asking any training for adults rather who wish to join. She said, I'm no sport fanatic, but hearing this makes me want to be a member of this initiative. So I guess that much there are those who may not be, as she says, a sport fanatic, meaning, directly involved in sports,
That's right.
or she has not called herself a sportswoman, for example, but she wants to be involved and, any training for adults who wish to join. But she said
Yeah,
adults, so I assume she referring to herself in that case.
yeah. So of course, and that's the thing about our club. we are open to everyone. We are open once you can walk, once you can physically do the work, then you are invited. We have no limitation in our club. Anyone who wants to take part, just come up on the court. Just be present on the court, and you will be involved in the training.
Mhm. Uh, you know, intriguing, I would say, and interesting to hear that. Now, I, I am a sport fanatic, unlike Andrea, you know, and I have a dear interest in track and field, and I know it has been a strong point of sports, not just in Grenada, but in the parish of St. Andrew. Any plans to have track and field being a part of the sporting disciplines of the Ballers Sports Club?
Definitely, definitely, just those names I just called, the Renisha Stafford, the Jamela Beatty, the Cassipal, those were, top athletes, at the intercollegiate games, And as I said, we are no stranger to sports on a general, so we are well rounded, and as I said, we're looking to expand. As more persons join the club, more persons, they come with their abilities. So of course, yes, we are looking to expand more in terms of track and field. I could tell you we are looking towards that, and we have been engaging with certain persons that say, we might have an Eastern games or Western games that we can take part in.
Okay. Well, I asked that because I'm certain that, there are so many who are, whether it's basketball or volleyball, and to some extent, because I know most times the athletes are well rounded because they are outstanding volleyball players, but in track and field as well, and to ensure that, the club, you know, sustain itself. Well, and I say sustain in terms of interest and, and these sort of things. I remember you started off by saying you started with volleyball, and at one point in time it became almost monotonous and boring, and then you started expanding. So I assume track and field will be one of those. There's a question here. I heard you mention something about education. Is there anything in place to assist the kids that may have challenges in different subject areas and are involved in the club?
All right, good night to you, Nishi Noel. Our club presently has, as I said, active teachers. We engage with our team members,
Mhm,
so as they have challenges, they would mention those challenging with us. Even though we cannot help them personally, but we will try to find the help, as it be in the different schools, to
mhm,
ensure that they are, getting the help they need. And we will keep checking, hey, are you getting through with this? Are you improving in this? And that is what we basically do. And as I said before, we keep an eye on our students at school to
mhm,
ensure that they are keeping up in school. So if we realize that they are lacking in certain areas, then we will try to help as much as possible.
mhm. Well, I'm glad you said that there because I remember a couple of years ago I went to Jamaica for the Boys and Girls Champs, and I was part of an IW. Well, at the time it was IWF, um, media team, and we were, you know, looking at some athletes. We were zeroing on athletes, and there was one particular athlete that we had to feature on, and that athlete did not participate in the Boys and Girls Champs. And when we inquired, even though he was a very talented athlete, certain to, you know, strike goal, blah, 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 top athlete, as you would say, his grades were not on par. So he could not participate in the Boys and Girls Champs, you know, because his grades did not. meet a certain level at that time. I don't know if things have changed then since then, but that's it means for you to be in the boys and girls championship, which is like intercall. Your grades must be at a certain level. If not, you will not be. So I'm happy to hear that that's part of the club's goals to ensure that there's a balance between the academics and the sports, and at the same time, finding ways to assist, the young people. Um, Question to you, which was meant to be asked earlier, though. Has any of these club members made the national team, or it should be national teams, I should say, because seeing that you're involved in different sporting disciplines, who are the people who would have been in, from your club, who would have made various national teams?
Various.
Yeah.
And it's really just the names I called earlier on. I don't want to just say I'm calling these set and leaving out, but we've had a lot of persons from our club representing the national teams. And I mentioned just a few females. In terms of males, we have Shandy Lewis, Leon Panchu, Samuel Jessamy, Jonathan Sargent, Dwayne Walcott, Jimmy Noel, Chad Phillip. You may know Chad Phillip in the football arena, and myself. In terms of achievements, I spoke earlier on our team, our national team at the under 19 level being the first national team to place second in an ECVA tournament. Um, we also have another team that made history at the Windward Island School Games, and that team comprised of Dwayne Walcott being the captain, Leon Panchu, Shandy Lewis, Jimmy Noel, and myself. That's all members of the Bala Sports Club. We won that volleyball championship in the year 2017, and that was the first ever team in Grenada, where volleyball is concerned, to win a Windward Island School Games, And we as I said, we boast of making national teams. And it's not just volleyball, it's the netball, it's the basketball, and it's the track and field. And that's to tell you that we have the talent. We definitely have the talent. Also, we have Dwayne Walcott receiving Volleyball of the Year in 2017. Also, Renisha Stafford receiving Volleyball of the Year in the females category. We had Shakira Fortune also attached to our club receiving Volleyball of the Year. Jamela Beely, Cassie Paul. You might say, I'm just calling names and it's becoming boring, but when it comes to achievements,
Hmm.
Ballard Sports Club, we really boast. We really boast on achievements. And that is what we strive to do. Say, hey, you know, you get an award, we get an award. You are representing us. You know, if you get an award, that this award is to the Ballard Sports Club.
Okay. So the final question that came up there for you, as we run out of time now, do you have subscription for membership, or they will call it membership dues, as part of your means of boosting your financial standing?
So initially, to become a member of the Ballard Sports Club, there is an application form that you will fill out. We explain to persons, you are affiliated to the Ballard Sports Club. If in the future you wish to exit the team, you wish to, play for another team, then you will have to consult with us so we can release you. As I said, we try to stand firm on principles and making sure that things are done the right way. We do collect subs from our members on a monthly basis. So to keep that, keep the financial thing, although it might not be much, but at least we have something to show when we have to take part in events. These will come in handy when we have to pay, transportation to go to various competitions.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, Javin, I want to thank you very much. I know initially you thought you would not make the 1 hour, what information we have, but I want to thank you seriously because I thought it was very, informative one, and I'm happy. I'm happy in that, the hearing what we have been asking for. I mean, knowing, well, not knowing that it was there all along, but that is what we want to hear. The whole revival of sports clubs, and ensuring that, and basically bringing hope to young people through sports. And
That's right.
I will want to encourage the young folks, especially in the parish of St. Andrew, who want to be involved, to contact Javin and the Baller Sports Club. They're also on Facebook, so you can go up on the Facebook page, look for the Baller Sports Club, and see what they're doing. There are a lot of photos and videos and things, and see how you can. Well, you can contact them through that as well, and see how you can be part of the process. Um, you know, um, and see how you can be involved to some extent, and whatever areas or area, I should say, you think you can assist, contact those guys. But again, I'm saying that ensure that those who want to be part of the process must buy into, must be on the same wavelength, as we'll say, of what you're hoping to achieve. Because we do not want that people come at the start with good intentions, but then somehow, because you have been so generous in terms of handing over the administrative part of the club, that they take it into a different direction. I know you want to concentrate more on whether it's coaching and playing and being a participant yourself, and leave which is good, leave the administrative part to those who probably have the experience in administration, etc. But at the same time, you must ensure that when the club decides to hand it over or to get the people involved in terms of the administration, because certainly you're looking for people with the expertise, etc., that they mean well, right? Thank you once again, Javin. Probably I'll take the opportunity to say thanks to Pat, which is Patricia Noel, your mom, to Junior Alexis, your dad, who were also involved. Ms. Bernard, and all the others, Gabriel Thomas, Patricia Walcott. I really cannot leave you out. And earlier we had Mr. Roy Lewis. We put Mr. to him. Thank you
Yes.
very much, Joshua Cadet and others. All those who have made a contribution, I want to thank you. And those who are involved in the club, I want to thank you for supporting and continue to support the Baller Sports Club. And again, as I'm saying, if there's any way you can assist, or you can contact. There's a Facebook page which is good, and you can get in contact with any of the members and see how you can support. Oh, there's also an Instagram. I understand. Um, According to Best Babs, there's an Instagram account, so you can find them on social media, as we'll say. And we pay all our affiliation fees to ensure we are taking care of our responsibilities.
That's right.
That is
That,
what she is saying. Thank you very much, folks. Um, I want to thank you, Javin, and my congratulations to you and the Border Sports Club, and commendation as well. I thought you brought a lot to the table, and thank you very much once again.
all right. Thank you so much, and you do have a good night. As I said, persons, we are committed to
Mhm.
building leaders through sports, and don't just take this group for granted. If you take this group for granted, you're really limiting yourself. You're really doing yourself an injustice. Do not take this group of young persons for granted. We
Mhm.
are the Ballard Sports Club. You know, we
Yeah.
we are acknowledging where we've been
Mhm.
and using that to be even better in the future.
Yeah.
Do not sleep on these group of young persons. Good night, Mr. Bascom, and thank you for having me on your program once again. To
Mhm.
the general public, our invitation is always open. You want to be a part of the club, you want to join the club, you can join us. We are on the court every Saturday, as long as the weather permits, as long as the country is not on lockdown, we are on the court. You may not want to play, but you can come and just have a look of what we are doing on the convent court every Saturdays starting from 3 p.m. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much once again, Javin.
All right, thank you very much, and you do have yourself a good night.
Okay, then, thanks. Folks, so that you heard it there from Javin Noel. He's the president of the uh, Ballers Sports Club, and speaking to us there live from St. Andrew in Grenada, Cook Hill Road to be exact, and all about the Baller Sports Club. I want to thank all of those who been part of the, you know, contribution towards that. I really enjoy this discussion, and I'm looking forward to, continued discussions with not just Baller Sports Club, but any of the other sports club that are interested in being featured on the program, please let me know. But I really enjoyed such, and it was a start of something, and I'm hoping that we'll hear more of the Baller Sports Club in the future. Thank you, all of you who have been listening. My program is coming out from Denver in Colorado, as I indicated, for the next few weeks, hopefully, until such time that we get back to Brooklyn, New York. But I'm in Denver here at least for another, 6 or 7 weeks, so it's on for the long haul. On Saturday, we'll have a roundtable with some sports journalists in the OECS. We'll be discussing sports in the sub-region, so look forward to that. But again, I want to express my thanks to Javin Noel and the Baller Sports Club. And folks, if you believe you can provide some assistance, please contact them. Baller Sports Club on Facebook, on Instagram, and see how you can provide any level of assistance. I'm certainly they would appreciate. Thank you very much. Do enjoy your week.